Welcome back to the number one Akiya podcast in the world, the Buying a House in Japan podcast. I'm your host, Joey, joined by Take today, most every podcast, it's both of us, not joined by Take today, but we are in different places again. Take is still in Japan,
Yes,
and
yeah.
I just made it back to Nova Scotia.
It's crazy. Every podcast I was talking to you about this is like, it's nice that we're recording these kind of as a timestamp looking back. I feel like every podcast has been recorded in a different location.
I
Look at
do
us.
sometimes go back and like I'll listen to a old one or like not the full thing, but I'll listen to like a little bit of an old one, old episode just to kind of see for exactly that reason, like what we were doing, what our opinions were, what we were thinking, see, because sometimes, there's different like problems and solutions that we figure out to these problems. And it's interesting to see ourselves thinking about solutions to a specific problem. And then, and then we can go back in time and
Like
observe that behavior.
naive fools. I mean,
Yeah.
our opinions have definitely changed a little bit, at least on some things.
For
Um,
sure. Where are we? We started this April 2023, I think was when we first started talking about buying a house in Japan. So we are now July 2025.
Officially, two and a half years have flown by, Joey. It's been crazy. It's been about a year since we officially. I remember this time last year we were in Tama in Tokyo at our house, and we just got it, and we had that. We put the whiteboard up, and we were kind of brainstorming like, how do we help people through the purchasing process, and that's where it kind of happened. And it's been a year since, and close to 100 people we were helping through the purchasing process. So kudos to us. It's crazy how far we've come.
Yeah, we've only had our purchasing process around for about a year. I remember that day in the Tama base camp house when we first got the whiteboard up too. We were doing some like forecasts, like, hey, can we get Take off of his job anytime soon?
Look at us.
Success there.
Look at us. Yeah. Since we last recorded, Joey, you're now again in Halifax. Is that right?
Yeah, outside of Halifax, South Shore, Nova Scotia.
So you've since been California to, or sorry, Saratoga, Santa Cruz, San Diego, now back home, right? How's it feel?
Had a little bit of a California adventure. Yeah, good to be back. That was a long trip for me. I left like first week of May. Yeah, went to Japan first, and then Indonesia, and then back to Japan, and then California for a little bit, and then yeah. And now we're recording a bunch of stuff. You're in Japan, and I'm not. It feels weird. It's usually the other way around. I think I mentioned this last podcast episode, but
Yep. I am recording live in Tama Base Camp. It's next to the whiteboard where all the magic happened. It's good to be here. This house is like really good, actually.
all right, so I heard from your fiance this was another big driving trip for you, Take. Has this trip been a lot of driving?
This has been the number one driving trip for me. I've driven, and
Number one, because we do a lot of driving.
I think usually we split it up. So for me, like just me solo, this has been, I think, the highest taxing trip. I've driven from Tokyo down to Osaka, where we took the ferry to Beppu. Then we took the ferry back, and I drove back to Tokyo. From Tokyo, drove to Karuizawa and Nagano, and then drove back to Narita. Dropped my parents off at next to my aunt's house, and have done multiple back and forth trips from Narita to Tama. And the car is finally done. We're going to go drop it off at the shop today and get it shut in.
Yeah, probably the Beppu leg of your trip was unnecessary, seems like.
It was not necessary, but it was productive. Glad we went down to Beppu just because they cleaned up the garden overnight. Like Mizoto-san's cut down a lot of trees. It's already looking better. So I think these frequent check-ins are still really helpful.
Yeah, actually, I do think I know this was not supposed to be a work trip for you, but I do feel like we got a lot done with
Yeah,
you there
locked
on
up.
this trip.
No, it was cool. I had a lot of fun. I think definitely too much driving. I think I would, if I were to redo it again, more trains, maybe more flying, more ferries if possible too.
Yeah, I took the bullet train one of these recent times I went to Japan. Missed one of my connecting flights. Ended up in Osaka when I was supposed to be in Tokyo, and I ended up taking the bullet train from Osaka to Tokyo. Really nice, really comfortable, actually. I wish there was a way. I mean, I guess it's renting a car. I was going to say I wish there's a way to take the bullet train places and then have a car waiting for you. But I guess that's just taking the bullet train and then renting a car places. But yeah, very comfortable. I would say bullet trains and ferries are I like them more than flying in Japan. Driving's also good.
Yeah, that being said, having our car with great AC has been so clutch. Like not having to sit in a super humid hot train or even walk to the station has been really good, especially since my parents are like in their 80s, super not mobile. I think they could not have gone to the train station and dealt with the crowds. So the car has been super helpful.
Yeah, even when you got Mariko's help to book the hotels and stuff for your parents and make sure that they were elderly friendly, I was thinking about that. I was like, all right, Japan is probably like the best place to travel with elderly parents right now because I'm sure at the hotel when Mariko called them and she was like, hey, some elderly people want to stay here. Like, what's the setup look like? I'm sure they knew like exactly what to do. They'd probably seen lots of elderly people guest staying before. Like, I'm curious to hear what,
Mhm.
was this trip very elderly friendly or
Yeah,
despite you having to drive everywhere, you being the chauffeur?
painting the context. And Joe, you know, you've dealt with my parents. Thanks for sending them to the airport. Actually, they're pretty low mobility. My mom had like a has like a memory issue, so short term memory. They've lost their hotel key cards. They forgot their room numbers. They've lost their cane. So, you know,
Oh,
nothing
no.
Japan can solve about that. But that being said, it's a very comfortable place to bring your elderly parents in the sense that people are really helpful. We have thankfully found their canes every single time they've been lost. They've gotten back to their room. So I do feel like if I'm in any country and just like letting my parents, if they get lost, like the hotel staff and people here are so helpful to get them back on course. Driving, I feel like I have this is probably what it feels like to have kids. Like these rest stops, at least. And whenever my dad's like, I need to take a piss, I'm like, all right, pulling off at a rest stop is actually really easy. You know, they have food, they have water, all the bathrooms are super clean. Didn't help. I had some diarrhea for a couple of days. Yeah, at least the red stops were really good. So, you know, I think for a potentially very uncomfortable situation, Japan is really good for elderly folks. The bathtubs are very high though. So you really have to try to find like the senior showers.
All
Uh,
right.
and then very last thing, took my dad to the onsen, so that was a little struggle bus, but we did it. He really wanted to go to the onsen at the hotels, so it's all kind of catered toward elderly, but you still need to hold their hand through the process, I think.
Yeah.
But they've had a good time.
It was funny when I brought your parents to the airport. You guys had prompted me a few times, like, make sure they got their phone, make sure they got their passport. And like we are leaving the where your parents live, and I asked your dad if he has the pass. You know, I'm trying to figure out where the passports are. Do they have their phones or something like that? And your dad's like, "I've got the passports. I got the passports." And I was like, "Mr. Kurosawa, I need to see the passports. Like, I just need to triple confirm here."
That a boy. That's the
Yeah,
one thing. Yeah, but overall, I'm happy to have brought them here. I don't know how many trips my parents have in them to come do an international trip. Shout out to Zip Air. The lay flat seats are pretty reasonably priced. Was able to take my mom and dad to Tama Cemetery to see where our parent or our grandparents are buried. So that was a trip. It's actually only it's 6 minutes away from our Tama house, Joey, and it's like a huge spot. I'll take you next time.
6 minutes away. That's close.
But I think it's a cemetery that is like a war or some like military cemetery or something like that. It's like the biggest cemetery I've ever seen.
Which direction do you drive in? Like
He
towards the onsen or towards
towards
the
Inagi, kind of like Inagi,
Inagi?
then
Yeah.
cross the river, and it's like somewhere around there. But
Okay.
you know, pretty wholesome experience. We almost couldn't find the grave. My dad thought it was in a completely wrong section. He got in a little mini fight with the people who were helping us find the grave. But luckily, we found it. It was like 110 degrees, mosquitoes everywhere. But glad it all
Skeeters,
worked.
eh?
Like in Japan, they pour water on the grave, and there's like usually pools of water everywhere. So lot of mosquitoes.
Oh, okay. Standing water. What was the impetus for Karuizawa part of the trip? Was that just something nice to do as a family, or, like, was there a reason to go to Karuizawa?
It was mostly because of the heat. So my parents don't do well in heat. We're recording this mid July, so I was just like, okay, Karuizawa or Nagano or somewhere in that area is pretty well known to be, I think, like luxurious kind of resort vibes, but also a lot cooler. So that was like the main reason. I didn't want to be dragging them around Tokyo in like 30,
Yeah.
34 Celsius heat and just like everyone in pain.
So, I actually thought Karuizawa was Kanazawa. I had messed those 2 up in my head. Karuizawa is actually in Nagano.
Yep.
I thought it was, like, wherever Kanazawa is, Fukui or Ishikawa or something like that. All right, what's going on in Karuizawa?
Okay, for the listeners, yeah, Karuizawa is in Nagano Prefecture. I would say this was a very, very cool city. If you've never been to Karuizawa, you're looking for something different, you're coming to Japan in the summer, I do think this is a really freaking good option. Like, so much so, Joey, if we were forced to spend summers in Japan, I'd be like, maybe we get a Karuizawa like forest retreat because the temperature is just night and day. It's like
Really?
22 Celsius, maybe, which is like what, 70 degree or something, when Tokyo's like 100 degrees.
Like Santa Cruz, Saratoga
Yep.
difference.
So I think big thing, there's two ways from Tokyo. It takes about an hour and a half, 2 hours drive, or there's actually a Shinkansen that goes from Tokyo Station to Karuizawa Station. It's an hour and 40 minutes. That's crazy. So I can see why people come here to Karuizawa to be like a local, or sorry, domestic vacation resort spot.
So it's like hiking, or what do you or like what do you do in the summer there when you're trying to beat the heat? It's like hiking.
It's a sleepy town. It's traditionally like a ski town, but it's a lot of hiking. We all hiked up this like bird watching mountain. It's crazy how many bird watchers are in Japan. A lot of golfing. There's like a couple lakes you can jump in. A lot of
Golf,
biking.
okay. Yep.
It's a really, yeah, really nice foresty town. But I think my dad kept saying like Elon Musk has a house here. Supposedly a lot of like tech moguls have a house here. I think Bill Gates has a house here. So I think it's an interesting spot. I thought it's a lot more upscale than I thought it was going to be.
So you checked out a property there, though.
Yeah. So along the way, one of our agents was like, "Hey, I checked out this property." So I was like, "Okay, let's check it out." The cool thing about Karuizawa is they still have like the red fall leaves here. I think the big seasons here are fall and winter, mostly for skiing, and then I think the koyo, or what is that? What it's called when the fall leaves change?
Yeah, Momiji, Koyo.
Exactly. So, wanted to check out an Akiya because one, I don't do well in heat, and I think summertime wanted to see like, okay, what's it really going to be looking like to get a property out here? We checked out a property. It's about 36K. It was in a resort area. So when looking at properties in Akiya, specifically in resort areas, just know there's like an additional, I think it was an additional like saman per month or something for road upkeep, and I think it's totally worth it for the snow and stuff like that.
Yeah, it makes it. It's like a HOA kind of fee, and they use that money to fix the roads and plow them. I guess in the winter, right?
Yep. Property itself, I had gotten a video tour, so just wanted to check the road up, and good thing I did. The road up was terrible, or not terrible, but just like super small. So just know, like, when you look at these cheap Akiyas, looking at road access and like how to get there, how to drive there, I think has been such an interesting thing for us.
Yeah, like just thinking back to Beppu, remember the Asami Lux place? Trying to find that road was kind of crazy, way up in the hills, like very, very narrow. And then like I feel like none of our properties have great road access to, it's fine
Yeah.
road access, but like parking's still very difficult for us. Yeah, that's a great point. Just know that seems to be a kind of common theme, at least with the properties that we've purchased. Roads are narrow.
Yeah. So when looking at these cheap properties, although the property could be in immaculate condition, like the road, if it's difficult for you to get up there or a construction truck to get up there, might be a deal breaker. As I drove up here, the road was like a little sketchy, especially if there was going to be snow or rain. Like Gaga was in the car with me, and she was like, "This is a little sketch," even though it was in a resort area.
Yeah, probably way more sketchier with ice on the road.
Yep. I'll post a photo as the podcast cover, but it's like deep in the woods. Pretty awesome, I would say, from if this is the project you want. For me, though, especially coming just straight from Beppu, where the plants were overgrown, pretty much the trees are like overtaking this place. There's just like so many plants all over the place, and it could be someone's, it could be a perfect opportunity for someone else, but like I rocked up and it's just like, this is just seeing the outside. This is going to be a lot of work. I didn't see. I saw the single pane
Mhm.
windows. I saw just the plants encroaching on the roof, encroaching below, and it was just like, okay, it's priced 36K. The inside looks good. Road is a little sketchy, but this is just not the deal I think we're looking for at this point. So kind of just honestly just drove away.
Yeah, and it's not like there's anything wrong with that property. It's just like it's so similar in the sense the single pane windows, like cutting back the jungle every time we visit. It's just that me and Take see this already in the properties that we own. and we know how much work it is to keep working on the Beppu property. We're 2 years in, and I wouldn't say that it's Airbnb-able yet. And so it's just like when you see these other homes that have those same, I wouldn't call it an issue because there's just so many homes in Japan that have those windows aren't single pane, no insulation. The forest has grown around the house over the 2 or 3 years it's been abandoned. It's just that, is that another project we want to take on? Feels like very, again, going back to my Forerunner, it's a project car, and you definitely need time to allocate time and money aside for any sort of project car or project house. And I just don't know if we have that in us right now with all the sprawling
Yeah.
property quiver that we have.
Yeah, just to emphasize that. Just like I just thought, do we have the energy for this? Absolutely not. Someone in the world will have that. So if you are coming to Japan and you're like, I want to buy an Akiya, and you're ready to have put some elbow grease in the property and clean it up yourself. And I think that this is the right project. But I think from what we found is, especially because we're abroad and we come back frequently, but it takes so much energy to really revitalize these places. You can throw money at it, but it still takes energy and headspace just to like coordinate what you want and to get it done correctly.
Yeah, I really think like one property, because it's me and you to like together on this, two properties I think is where we're at. Like the Beppu house and the Tama house get 95% of our energy, and then the remaining houses get the other 5%. It's just, it takes up a lot of time and energy, money to do these projects. So I really feel it's one house per person, and between the two of us, we've got two houses that take up most of that energy. It
It,
doesn't sound like there's anything wrong with this Karuizawa house. It's just that we can't fit it into our setup at the moment.
just like going to the outside, looking at the plants and being like, looking at some basic things like, okay, it's 36K, but I would rather save my money and buy a 100K spot, maybe with better road access, maybe in better condition, just as a starting spot. Like I'm sitting here in Tama, which was pre-flipped, which I'm really glad we went this route versus buying the cheap Akiya and putting a lot of energy into it.
Yeah, one thing that we have been talking, it's interesting, definitely I feel like you were the first one to be like, like, do we really want to do another Akia project? And I guess I was a little slower to come around to it, but I do agree with you that I don't know if we have it in us right now to do another Akia project, but we have been discussing like a container home or some sort of prefabricated tiny home situation where we buy a plot of land and then drop a container home or some sort of prefabricated tiny home ish structure on the land. And I think that's the most exciting project that we've thought up between us at the moment. And that would probably be less work than one of these Akiyas.
Absolutely. I drive around Tokyo and you see all those like shipping container or like storage homes where they stack two or three on top of each other. I'm just like, why can't we do that? So I know we're discussing that maybe for Miyoko, hopefully, which time's ticking. we're already mid July and
Snow's coming.
snow's coming. But yeah, put in a bow on the Karuizawa Akiya. Yeah, it's a great property, but I think it needs to have someone there on the ground, someone who wants to put in a lot of energy. And the short is, I would rather just save up 70 or 100K and buy something better that's already insulated, has the windows cleaner, better parking, better drivability. But Karuizawa, highly, highly recommend. I'd say 9 out of 10. There's some like really, really high end restaurants, probably some of the best Italian restaurants I've had in Japan.
Okay. Okay.
Fiance really loved the date night, brought her to like a crazy nice Italian spot, very well priced. We bought like everything we wanted, and the bill came out to like 65 US dollars. So very
Very
reasonably.
nice. We were
Um,
hitting some pricey dinners in San Diego. I mean, it was just like normal dinners, but prices are expensive in California.
Absolutely. So if you want to go on a vacation with your boo, or I brought my parents in this case and my boo, try Karuizawa. I do recommend it, especially for cooler temperatures. We stayed at some pretty nice hotels, very great sleepy town with a lot of big upside on restaurants and cafes. And I think the architecture is just like really cool there. So, Joe, you should definitely check it out next trip.
Cool.
Okay, next topic, Japan events. Small note, but I was here leading up to July 5th. It's crazy. There's like a little superstitious event where there's like a manga author who had predicted the Tohoku earthquake and tsunami. That
Oh,
was Yeah.
So I heard about this. So who is this manga author? That was my like, I didn't read any articles about it, but I saw a headline and I'm like,
Yeah.
who cares what this guy, the manga author says about an earthquake? Like, why did people care?
I think the manga author had predicted that there was going to be a huge earthquake. She predicted, I think, the March 11th earthquake a while back, but her next prediction was going to be July 5th, a couple of days ago. And like a ton of people were spooked out. And it was like, it actually affected tourism. It was like a running joke on X. I feel like everyone's like, what are you doing your last day before doomsday kind of thing. But
Yeah, like I think that was part of the headline I saw. People really were changing their travel plans, and I was thinking, who is this manga author? Why
I
are
can't,
people believing them?
Ryo Tatsuki is the person's name. Do, do, do.
Did you notice any difference on the ground? Lack of
Saw zero.
tourists, or
Yeah. So basically, it was a big hoax. But I think there was a lot of people that were like, at least online, that were like, okay, watch out, the earthquake's coming.
well, glad nothing did.
Nothing did. But okay,
Not even a little earthquake.
not even a little earthquake. There, I guess we're in a heat wave right now. There was maybe a tornado coming in Nagano, so it's been a long journey for me weather wise. I'm excited to go back to California. Anything you need me to
Okay.
do in Tama Base Camp? Going to get our shaken. Oh, that's actually an interesting topic. Because our business owns our minivan, we need to get our registration or like shaken approval every year now, Joey. It costs about $1,000 a year, so an unexpected cost, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's quite annoying, especially in the sense like I thought it was so it's because we're a business, right? If we were just an individual owning the vehicle, it's every 2 years?
Yes.
Okay.
The shotgun, yeah, costs about $1,000. I think they're going to probably find something wrong with our car. Our car needs, I think, a couple small things actually. We need to probably get our brake pads renewed, but it's I think the shotgun is equivalent to like the registration renew, like vehicle inspection and registration. Is that right?
Yeah, my understanding it's kind of like safety and registration.
Okay. Hopefully we don't. Yeah, damn, that is going to be expensive. Hopefully that we don't get stuff. And I'm just reading it right now. Ensuring brakes are functioning correctly. I think we need new brake pads. Undercarriage inspection, exterior inspection. We have a couple scrapes on the car. Hopefully that doesn't mess things up. But I think overall it's a good thing for Japan though that people do these check-in, make sure cars are road safe.
When you're packing up the house, either if you have time or if you don't have time, just ask Linda if she can handle it. But I usually go to Daiso and I buy some of those like desiccant packs and I buy a whole bunch and I just leave them in the rooms. I have no idea if it does anything. They're full of water. Every time I come back to the house, they're like really, really, they do soak up a lot of water, but I just don't think that they're effective given the amount of humidity in the room. Like they soak up all they can, but the humidity is just relentless. So I don't know if it's does anything. Maybe it does, but that's what I do when I close up the house. I just go to Daiso, buy the desiccant packs, as many as I can, and like put them in between the sheets and that kind of thing.
I talked to Fumi about this actually in Beppu. You had left a couple out and they were like to the brim, super full. And I was like, Fumi, are these like, is this going to be
Doing
helpful?
anything.
She's realistically like, you can keep putting them out and they will keep filling it. So I think the move is, and you did this well in Beppu before you left, is like putting stuff in boxes and then putting the desiccant packs in there. So
Yeah.
I will ask Linda to do that. I probably don't have time today, but overall, the Tama's looking really good. Our plants are growing like crazy, man. Like they are touching the ceiling.
Heck
Actually,
yeah.
one of them, I don't know what to do with it, but Linda's doing a great job. House looks great. The biggest improvement I think we need to consider is really sealing the house from the cockroaches. You can,
Okay. Roaches.
yeah, they're definitely coming.
Roaches or
Through.
insulation? Which is more urgent?
I think roaches is a small thing. I think there's just a couple areas where they can sneak through. So working on like sealing the house, I think that should be a small fix. So I would say that's probably before we have other guests, that's probably the main priority. I would say.
Okay.
I I think insulation is going to be great if we can double pane the windows with our ACs right now. I really think that might be the solution mid to long term.
I just live with the roaches. I don't know. I'm not sure that they can be.
Oh, no.
completely shut out.
Yeah, she was, like, packing her suitcase and, like, just heard, like, screams, and she found a roach in her suitcase. I'm like, "Oh, no." So,
Definitely in Japan's got roaches, everybody.
yeah, it's impossible to get rid of them, but I also think there's a couple easy things we can do to mitigate specifically, yeah.
So you think double painting the windows over insulating the roof? If there's any visitors out there that know more than us on trying to how to keep this house cool, let us know. Should we double paint the windows or should we insulate the roof?
I think double painting the windows will help considerably all around. I think putting insulation in the roof will considerably help just the upper rooms. Both have, if we want a targeted approach, maybe the roof is going to be the highest impact for the rooms, but I think double painting all the windows will help the entire house keep cooler, in my opinion.
All right, we need an expert's opinion on this.
So overall, though, it's really hot out right now. Tamas, I have two, the double ACs in the office room have been working quite well. Yeah, I think we are almost done with this house.
I think we should get those like Tupperware things. I got those from the hardware store in Beppu. We get one
Oh, true.
Tupperware thing for each room, and then when we leave, sheets go in there with the Oh, we should just buy like a ton of desiccant packs on Amazon too. Just have them in the closet.
I will ask Linda on that, but yeah, I think that's a good idea. It's not the house just seems very clean, which is good. So it's really night and day from Beppu. Our cleaners here are doing a much better job than they were in Beppu, unfortunately.
And the self watering lawn, is that working out?
Lawn is looking great, looking lush and green. The concrete crack is continually kind of growing. So actually, that might be a priority too. When we've gotten a quote, it should be, I think, like $2,000 to $3,000 to fix that. So I'll also talk to Linda. But I think house is pretty close to being super done, in my opinion.
Yay! Yeah, again for all those listeners out there reflecting back 2 years, the Beppu House is ongoing. There are parts of it that still kind of feel like Akiya. We've poured, maybe 100K into it at this point, maybe a little bit more. And the Tama House was about 120K, and then we furnished it. So I don't know, all in, maybe 150 all in. Just feels so much more comfortable in the newer house. Unfortunately, guys, I know a lot of people love Akiyas. I love the Akiyas too, but that's our honest feelings, I think, at this point.
A 2 year look back, if we were to redo it again, I think getting a more expensive initial property, unless you're super into the DIY, you want to go the Anton in Japan type route. But if you're going back and forth to Japan like us, I think having that higher level starting point is such a big difference. Like our Beppu house is a little janky. I still don't feel proud to put it on Airbnb, to be honest.
Yeah. That being said, I like the Beppu house. Maybe it's emotional attachment to the Beppu house. You can love your Akiya. I love JLux, even though it's a little bit janky still. It's just in comparison to the Tama house. The Tama house is arguably better.
Yep. In comparison to United States real estate, though, heck yeah. We own a couple houses in Japan. I think it's all still so much fun to know that we're not paying a mortgage on these places and we own them outright. Joey, 2 years later, we own 6 properties in Japan soon.
Let's let's go out and someday one of those tropical islands. There's going to be one on there too.
Karuizawa also on the map. I'd say when we do someday hopefully make a lot of money, getting a nice Karuizawa kind of like high end house could be such a cool spot. So,
I'll have to check it out.
okay. I will catch you later. Next time recording, not in Japan, probably in California.
Safe trip home.
Thanks, man.